Hey guys, Brad and the Buff. I got my buff in my head and I'm ready to go. I am cleaning out my garage today, getting everything out the shelves. I thought this would be a great time to get out all of the different pieces of gear I've acquired over the years. Just kind of run through them real quick. I thought it'd be a fun exercise. I'm going to go through it in this video. Okay, as I'm cleaning out my garage, you can see I kind of got it a mess with all kinds of stuff, but I got my gear kind of laid out in a row, and just wanted to show you guys that where I'm at now with my gear has been a process of like 25 years. So some of the stuff is like 20, 25 years old. I should probably throw it away, but I can't seem to let go of the stuff that I had from like even my Boy Scouting days. So let's start off. These are all of the sleeping bags. This was my primary sleeping bag that I had when I was like 15 or 16 years old. This is a mummy bag, and this is just a synthetic. Still a decent bag, even after all these years. This is my primary winter bag. I got about $300 into this one. This is my Rei Co-Op Magma 20. This is the one that I take out, or actually I think it's a 10, that I take out if I know it's going to be like, you know, basically 10 degrees. My quilt is 40 degrees. I am missing a few items that I lent out, but here's just some other sleeping bags I've acquired throughout the years. I've done a different video on some of this stuff, but here's all my different tents. This is my mini peak. This is my my peak, my pyramid. These are both my hot stove tents. This is my 1 person. This is my 4 person. Here's like the old pad. This thermarest back in the day was like state of the art. I mean, I'm talking like probably mid 90s. This thing was awesome. Like people couldn't believe you blew air into it. This is another synthetic pad I've had over years. Just a high peak. It's the Mount Rainier 20 degree. This is a good one I use with my kids. I just keep a lot of this stuff. Some of this stuff is just for car camping, not necessarily for backpacking. Shoot. Holy crap, there's just so much stuff here. This is my primary car camping tent. These are my pillows that I've acquired throughout the year. I usually keep one snack bag that I have just for like random stuff that I know, like honey, little mini packets of honey. So at any time I go, I can go on a trip. This is sriracha packets I have. That basically the food items that you might have to order that are specialty items, I can just grab them, and I have almost enough in this bag that I can just run out the door to go hit a trip if I'm just filling up. Sometimes that happens. The weather looks good and I'm good to go. I don't have any plans and I'm out the door trying to hit the trail. You know, this is like just my typical, I usually keep one bin with all the stuff that's going to come with me on a typical trip. So I have one basket that I can see into that's got all of my gear just kind of thrown into it. And then I keep one bigger, I don't know, wouldn't call it a basket, but a tote, one bigger tote that I put all the stuff that I might bring on a trip depending on the circumstances. So I got my quilt inside. I usually just store it loosely. You don't want to push this down hard, but I keep my quilt just inside of my backpack. Usually I throw it in that basket. So this is like, you know, there's my duplex tent. There is my altiplex tent, depending on the situation. If I need a 2-person or 1 extra space. There's my my Thermarest X-Lite. And then I just kind of keep that stuff in that tote, like my bigger things. Here's all the different, I don't use any of this stuff really anymore, but here's all the different boiling kits I'd had. I used this one for years, and then basically I'm down to just a titanium, you know, about 700 liter, my French press that I use all the time. Here's some noise equipment or some recording equipment I invested into, some microphones. I never really liked how these came out. They could pick up a little bit more, but they were always super scratchy. And when I upgraded to my 13, I found that the volume was good. The tent I usually take if I'm just camping out with my family. Oh man, look at all these pieces of gear. Just Here's all the backpacks I've owned. This is the one I usually lend out now if I'm going. It's always good to have like an extra backpack you can lend to a friend. So this is my Granite gear, Crown 60. I love this backpack when I was using it regularly. I'm very happy with my Nero, but this was a nice economy backpack that I got me kind of started into ultralight. This was my one I used for years. This is the Palisade. This thing is a champ. I've talked about it before in previous videos, but it's an 80 liter. This is what I usually use if I'm going to be doing winter trips and I need to bring a lot of gear with me, because it can really haul. It can haul, you know, 60, 70 pounds. So I keep it to haul my bigger stuff. It is starting to get old and degrade a little bit. But that one is, you know, like 6.5 pounds as opposed to my Nero, which is like 11 ounces. So that's a big difference. Here's a really old one. An old framed internal frame. This is a Kelty, I think. I haven't used or seen this used for years and years and years. It was actually a friend of mine. Bunch of other gear that I keep just kind of stored away. You can see, you know, just spray bottles for insect repellent. You know, my buck tools, my saw. This is all the water gear I've used over the years, where I've basically just got it down to, after going through all of these, look at all these camelbacks. And this stuff's nice to have to lend to people. It is funny, I've accumulated all these CamelBaks. Some of these were gifts that people gave to me for Christmas and stuff because they knew I was into hiking. I've got like 3 or 4 CamelBaks. I got my Platypus Evo. I used this for a long time and put a inline filter on it with a quick connect, and I like that. But ultimately all of this gear got reduced down to just a Sawyer squeeze on the end of a water bottle, because over the years, like, everything just kept getting more simple. It is funny how you do this, and actually you start off with more complex stuff and you just get more and more simple over time, to the point where all of this more complex gear seems silly. But I don't know that if I hadn't used this stuff that I would have felt comfortable moving forward to something a little bit lighter. You think you want all the features, but what I really found is I like the simplicity. You know, I always end up with a million of these canisters because I'm always paranoid to take them out unless I know they're filled. So a lot of these have like a third left, and I use them over time. Like if I go car camping or something, I'll take one that's like a third filled until it's dead, and then I just use it up then. So these are just a bunch of canisters that I have because I hate before a trip having to run out and try to find a place that has these canisters. So I always keep a few on hand, as you can see. I used to use these to make all my meals in. I'd put my potato packet in here, and I would, that way, if you have a bunch of people with you, this is actually 2 of them together, but if you have a bunch of people with you, you can hand these out and everybody can kind of heat their own potato packets or rice packets or whatever inside of these, and you just put hot water inside the packet, you fold this over, and you kind of let your meals heat up inside of this. I got rid of that because, once again, I just, you know, now basically I just take the potatoes, boil them inside the thing, inside of my cup. And so I just got rid of that as an unnecessary step. I've never used these before. These are for walking on snow to make sure that you don't slip. I always keep some extra really nice toilet paper just for backpacking. That way I always know I have some when I go get to it. This is just an extra ground cloth. This is my bivy stick. I'll have a whole video on this. Really happy with this product. This is one, I got this Garmin E-Trex 30. I have almost never used this thing. It wasn't, I got what I thought was the lightest and most robust because I thought that's what I wanted. But it ended up that it was just a little bit too sophisticated for how I like to do my hikes. Now I'm happy to have this because there are occasions, if you go, which I've done canoeing back in the Everglades, I did not have one of these. And you almost have to have one of these if you're going to do a bunch of river trips, especially someplace like the Everglades. So I got it to use, but to be honest with you, this was probably not a good investment for me. It was just a bit, not quite as user-friendly. I really found out from having this that I like user-friendly stuff, less complex. One of my stoves, this is my titanium wood stove, or they call solid fuel device with a stand. I got my scales. Shoot, here's some Booties that I've never used, but these are if you have cold feet on the trail. And I do a lot of winter camping. I've taken those before if it's going to be like insanely cold and I'm going to be in my hot tent, just to kind of put over my feet. See, this is like my random bucket of surprises. I bought this for mosquito netting if I needed to make it, but I've never really used it. You know, here's an Anchor solar panel that I thought would be cool to take, but once again, it took a while to set up, and I just learned that, hey, I'll take a battery backup and I can get 2 or 3 days out of that, and I can find a place to recharge in the meantime. So this was a little bit overdone. There's a bunch of coffee. This was my very first like specialty coffee maker that I bought, where this thing is a collapsible. You just put it on top and it folds up and you can use it as a coffee screener. I got a couple coffee devices in here that I really don't use anymore once I use my French press. But I just thought it was interesting to kind of dig out all my stuff as I'm packing it up. And you can see, you can almost fill up an entire garage just with the camping gear I have acquired over the years. In some ways, it's cool to look through. In some ways, I look at what an idiot I've been for some of the stuff I've bought, but I didn't know until I bought it if I would actually like using it on the trail. Some of the stuff I thought that I would use all the time and that I would never part with, and I never ended up using it almost at all. And some of it was quite expensive. That Garmin was like a $300 item, and I've never actually used it. I've taken it with me on a couple trips and just didn't like it. I could resell it, but I'd rather have it in case I do need it for a trip. And so I guess just going through here, what it really tells me is that it is a process. Out of all of this giant pile of gear, in about a year, I'm only going to use basically this basket's worth of stuff. Some of it I get out and I play with and I have fun with it, but I really don't need it. And hiking is also great because even when I look at all this stuff on the floor, all of this stuff combined, if you put it all together, probably $4,000, maybe max $5,000. There's my Winterwell titanium stove. That was one of the more expensive items. But, you know, over 25 years, I've got about $5,000 into a hobby that I have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into a year. And if you look at it that way, it's actually a very inexpensive hobby. And, you know, really I should get rid of a lot of this gear just because I don't use it, but I do like having it around. But I only need about 2 things worth just to get by. So anyways, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do a quick shoot of just all the different pieces of gear I have, and just got to show you guys just kind of the stuff I've acquired over the years. See you next video. Hey guys, if you like the video you just saw, please subscribe, click the bell so you can get alerted for any new videos that I may do, and check the links below for any information I described in the video. I'll try to put as much there as possible. Thanks for watching.